Hi there, it's Jen from modernmedicinelady.com and the Empathic Woman System, and the word of the day is overload. And I am just coming back from 3 days of an absolutely amazing retreat for badass business women that my friend Britt Bulnick of In Arms Coaching has just run. And we got to dive deep into the work. We did a lot of strategy. We did a lot of planning, a lot of looking at the nuts and bolts of business, but we also did a lot of the deep mindset and emotional work, and really looking at how we are in our business. Because if you are a transformational entrepreneur or somebody who is really sort of a cutting edge entrepreneur, then you probably already know that there's absolutely no way that you don't grow personally when you run a business. Like, in order to effectively run a business, you gotta grow. You've got to work on your own stuff and move through it and get to the other side of it. That strategy alone will never cut it. There is also mindset, and there is also a lot of heart work that has to happen for a business to really flourish. And so we were doing a lot of that work. And after 3 days of that, I was wide open and in this really amazing space of gratitude and appreciation and perspective. And so then my friend Kim and I went off to the Portland Museum of Art and just spent 2 hours walking through the museum, seeing the most beautiful and amazing pieces of art. It was just incredible. And I was just so open and so receptive, and it was really wonderful. And then there was this point where I started to recognize that I was starting to hit overload, where I started to recognize that I was feeling more emotional, that I was getting weepy as I was looking. I mean, I was getting almost giddy looking at this amazingly cool piece of a bedazzled buck. Like, I mean, I'll post a picture of it with this video because seriously, it was pretty remarkable. It was like a buck head, like a deer, covered with like Swarovski crystals. Like, it was very cool. But for me to like almost burst into tears because of the beauty of this buckhead, I kind of knew I'd hit overload. Like, I kind of was like, oh, okay, we've kind of hit our wall here. And so I knew that what I needed was to like acknowledge that I had hit my max, that I had hit saturation point. I had done as much as I could possibly do with myself, and that basically it's time to say, okay, now we need to go into stillness. Now we need to take some time alone and not push it any further. And there would have been another time in my life where I would have ignored that. I would have pushed myself further. I would have pushed myself on to going out to dinner and possibly going out and socializing afterwards. And by the time I had pushed myself over a couple additional hours of being out in the world, I would have really not just hit overload, but I would have maxed out and started to have a meltdown. And because I can recognize now that I recognize the signs of starting to hit overload, I was able to stop myself before I hit exhaustion, before I hit the emotional meltdown, before I started to get tired and cranky, and then inevitably started to get like worrying and doubting myself and feeling self-critical and all of the other stuff that comes with getting overstimulated, getting overloaded, getting overtired for me. So my question to you is, what are your signs for overload? Can you recognize them before you hit that critical mass? Do you know what it feels like when you start to overload? Or do you find yourself hitting the wall and then going, oh, holy shit, I am completely overloaded and I need to do something about it? And when you do hit overload, how do you take care of yourself? What do you do to back yourself out of that or to recover from it afterwards? And if you're recognizing the signs as you're coming into them and you're realizing you're about to hit overload, what do you do to take care of yourself so that you don't fall all the way into overload?